All right, so we are here with week 3 of Little Cup. Uh, last week was rough. To put it lightly, it was rough. Um, so I'm hoping we can bounce back this week. I got another tough opponent this week. This opponent has like 3 or 4 mons that I probably would have had on my radar if I was drafting at the start. So really scary team here. So like always, we'll dive into it. Spritzy, now this thing is fat with that 78 HP stat. That's not fun. Also, it's a fairy type, one of the very few fairy types in Little Cup. I think I talked about it when the opponent had Snubble last week. Just that fairy typing is such a difference maker. So that thing's really scary. It gets a lot of like cleric moves. Healing Wish. I think it gets regular Wish. I think it gets Moonlight too. I don't think it gets Willow. I might be hallucinating that, but it's very fat. It does a lot of. It just eats hits. It has a lot of sustain, and it's a fairy type. So all things that make it a problem. Then we have Shelter. Now this is probably a mon that, like, if I was playing Little Cup, I would first pick this mon. I really like Shelter because it has a 100 defense stat, which is just insane. And then 65 attack is nothing to scoff at. And then when you consider the fact that it has Eviolite, Shell Smash, Skill Link, Ice Shard, Rock Blast, Liquidate, this thing is stupid. This thing is dumb. It's not a fair Pokemon, so I'm really, really worried about it. This thing is a problem. I think I've devised some counterplay to it, but if it gets a Shell Smash off, like, I'm in a world of pain. But we'll get there when we get there. Magby, this thing is like Elekid, but just like a little bit worse, but still ridiculously stupid. It doesn't hit that 20 speed that Elekid hits, but it still hits 19, which is, again, other than Elekid and the 2 Voltorbs, is the highest speed you're going to hit. It gets insane coverage for some reason. I mean, I say for some reason, I know why, but Flare Blitz, Double Edge, Cross Chop, P-Jab, Iron Tail, Thunder Punch, Dual Chop, because it can. And then if you want, you run Psychic and Overheat and Flamethrower, that kind of stuff. But I expect it to be like Elemental Punches, Magby, with probably like P-Jab. Or actually, I don't even think. No, you're not hitting anything on my team with P-Jab. It's probably going to be like Cross Chop, because you can actually hit stuff on my team with Cross Chop. But yeah, this thing gets insane coverage, a high speed stat, and a 75 attack stat is, again, nothing to scoff at all. Then we got Bramblin. Bramblin is a very good Choice Scarf mon, because, right, just like Starly, it sits at that 60 speed, and when you Scarf it, you can just put all of your EVs into attack and some kind of bulk. So you're taking hits as a Scarfer, and you're dealing just ridiculous damage. I think this mon gets stuff like Leaf Storm. If you want to play the game, you can use Power Whip too. Shadow Ball. Right, it just gets hard-hitting stab moves, and in Little Cup, that's like the most important thing. But yeah, Choice Scarf Bramblin is a problem. It can also be Specs. I see Specs Bramblin sometimes, with, again, Leaf Storm, Energy Ball, Shadow Ball, which is not nice. Then we got Wattrel. This thing is 70 speed stat, so again, really fast. Doesn't quite hit that 19 speed tier, which is really nice. It actually only hits 17. So it is nice that we have a little bit of breathing room, but unfortunately, because of the Magby, we do have to go up to 19, which is a shame because that 1 point of speed is a lot in Little Cup, but hey, I digress. But yeah, Watchel, it basically just clicks Volt Switch. It gets Air Slash 2. 9 times out of 10, this thing's running Volt Absorb. It can be competitive, and then if you ever, like Intimidate, actually, I don't think there's anything in Little Cup that gets Intimidate, but if you ever get like a Shadow Ball drop or something like that, and this thing just doubles its special attack stat, which isn't that low, and starts clicking stuff like Thunderbolt and Air Slash, you're going to feel it. But most likely going to be Volt Absorb, especially when you consider that I have a Joltik, and other than Trapinch, Electric Moves kind of rip through this team. So you're probably gonna just a Choice Scarf Thunder would like decimate this team, other than Trapinch and Volt Absorb Watchroll. So yeah, this thing's probably going to be Volt Absorb, fast Mon, good coverage moves, and it's probably going to be clicking Volt Switch a lot of the time, but I am bringing Anti-Volt Switch in my team. We'll get to that. Then we got Trubbish. Trubbish is just fat. 62s in defense is pretty good. Gets sticky holds, so you can't knock off those Eviolites or those berry juices. It also gets Aftermath if you want to play that. I talked about Aftermath last week with the Drifblim. Just dealing 25% to your opponent is big chip, especially in a hyper offensive game, metagame like Little Cup. But 9 times out of 10, this thing's going to be sticky hold. It's going to be Eviolites, and it's probably just going to be like Gunk, T-Spikes, Stockpile, Swallow, like something like that. My opponent hasn't brought it yet, and I'm banking on him continuing to do that, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Stuffle is a nuclear bomb. This thing also has a 75 attack stat, but this thing also has good bulk. 70 HP and then 50 defense with that Fluffy. So I think it's by proxy 75 base defense, which is a little dumb. This thing is slow, but like not that slow. So yeah, this thing can hit really hard. This thing also gets stupid coverage, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it gets everything under the sun, bro. It gets the elemental punches except for Fire Punch, which okay. Rock Slide, Aerial Ace, Zen Headbutt, Iron Tail, or is it Iron Head? It's Iron Head. Oh, that's awesome. And then yeah, Double Edge, Superpower. It's not fun. It's not nice. And then there's Trapinch, which can run Arena Trap and can run First Impression. So you can just choice band First Impression Arena Trap and just like kill everything. Fortunately, I brought a lot of play to Arena Trap and to First Impression, so we'll get to that. And last but not least, Lillipup. This is not a real Pokemon. When you consider the fact that he has Stuffle, this thing, you're never bringing this thing over Stuffle unless you're fighting a team with like 7 flying types. But like, yeah, no, Lillipup is just a worse version of Stuffle, so I don't really know why he has it, but whatever. And I'm hoping this is not another week where I, disrespect the Pokemon for like 2 minutes and then it comes and it kills 3 of my Mons right off rip. But hey, I digress. So yeah, that's kind of what we're expecting out of the opponent. We're going to jump into my team here now. So first things first is we have Starly. Starly didn't really get to do Starly things last week because, yeah, go watch the video. But yeah, he has 1 flying resist in Watchroll and 1 normal resist in Bramblin. So Brave Bird Double Edge, if one of those things doesn't come, for example, if Bramblin doesn't come, Choice Scarf Reckless Double Edge is going to hit like a nuclear missile into his team. And if Watchroll doesn't come, then it's just Brave Bird instead. Has U-turn just in case I want to keep some momentum. And like last week, if this thing gets knocked off, I can try and take something like an Eviolite, but realistically the thing's coming in and it's clicking one of its stab reckless boosted moves. Then we have Scraup. One thing I've noticed is this thing is getting very predictable at this point. Always Eviolites. This time I am going to try and bring T-Spikes, though, and that is why I'm hoping that my opponent doesn't bring the Trubbish. He hasn't done it yet, which leads me to believe that there's a chance he won't bring it again, and just getting up those T-Spikes, especially against something like Shelter, like Spritzy, being able to break through like that is really important. And one thing you'll notice is, if I'm wrong about this, I'll say something in the battle video, but I'm pretty sure that 1 layer of T-Spikes is better because doing that 12% every turn is more beneficial in a hyper offense metagame than doing the 8 or 6, 12, 18, etc., etc. More of that slow burn. The 12 is just better, so getting up that spike. And then also, he doesn't have a whole lot of removal. Like, he does have spin, but he has two spinners, and one of them is Shelder, who's almost never actually going to run rapid spin, and the other is Bramblin. Unfortunately, I don't have a ghost type, so I can't spin block, but again, I don't really see either of these mons coming as spinners. Bramblin really just comes as a choice item or life orb and hits hard. And then Shelder, Shelder does what Shelder wants, but I don't think Shelder ever wants to be rapid spin. Then we got Kabuto. I'm gonna try and use Kabuto as my sweeper in this game. Hopefully we get good rolls with Rock Blast, but the combination of water rock hits his team really well. It hits everything for neutral coverage, and then hits a good chunk of stuff super effectively as well. So I do like it here. The only problem is what's the Pokemon called? Shelder. I do have knockoff on this thing, so if the Shelder comes in, I can try and knock it and then get some lucky rolls with Rock Blast. Reminder, Shelder is pure water, so he's not going to be weak to that Rock Blast. It's only water ice when it evolves. But yeah, I have a Rock Polish. Originally, I was thinking about going with weak armor to try and get that boost, but then I realized I feel like it's just better to have Rock Polish instead. And then Liquidate, Rock Blast, strong stab moves, and then Knock for the util. This Wingull set's probably going to look familiar. It is the same exact set as last week because water, flying, and ice usually hits like everything. Like I hit almost 60% of his team for super effective damage, and then the rest is like I could have Shockwave for the Shelder, but Air Slash is doing like the same amount. So there's no real reason not to be Air Slash. And then it's just the Little Pup, which is not a real Pokemon, and the Trubbish that I don't hit. And again, I'm not really planning on seeing Trubbish, so I pretty much hit everything except the Shelder super effectively, but the super effective damage is basically the same as clicking stab damage. So then having that last spot for Roost can be really good, especially because Wingull is like decently bulky, and just if you can get that Roost off and get all that health back, it's going to continue to be a problem. Then we got Meowth. Same Meowth set as week 1, I think it is, just a basic fake out feint U-turn knockoff. Because of Bramblin, I wanted to have that dark move in knockoff. I don't think it will kill from full, but you know, if it comes in later after it's been shipped by something, then that knockoff can most likely pick up the KO, and then hopefully Meowth can do something like it did in week 1 and just get like 4 kills. And then lastly, we have Numel. I needed a good, reliable check to Magby because the coverage this thing gets is diabolical. I know I said that already, but I look at it. That's gross. So, yeah, I'm running a defensive Numel this week. Eviolite, I'm running only Earthquake, which is, I'm a little hesitant to do that because I know that he is most, like, 90% sure he's going to bring that Watch Roll. But having Rocks, again, because he doesn't really have a spinner, Will-O-Wisps to try and shut down that Shelder if I can, right? Like, if he tries to bring it in, force me out, and shut up that Shell Smash, if I can get that Will-O-Wisp off there and then go into something like Kabuto that's going to take hits pretty well, I'm in a good spot, right? And then it also just has Curse because I am simple, so getting +2 in both stats, especially if that Watch Roll's gone, +2 Earthquake is going to hurt whoever it hits. Even if like it's Bramblin and it resists, it's still going to hurt. Plus, Bramblin doesn't really want to come in against me until it sees my full moveset, and if it does, then okay. So yeah, that is going to be the team this week. Again, hopefully it goes better than last week. We're going to try and get a strong bounce back here and then keep building some momentum to try and make that top cut of playoffs so we get that bye. But we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I'm forgetting. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the battle. Take care.